Adam Jones from Figtree Organic Farm. Thank you for being with me. Look, I just came back from a visit to your farm, and it was 9 months since I was there last. Of course, the last time we were there, we made our little info doco, which is 15 minutes on YouTube called Your Earthfood on the station there. And I just couldn't believe what I was looking at. So from 9 months where everything was growing at the maximum height of to my knees, maybe 1 or 2 trees went up to my waist as an example of height. 9 months later, I'm on the same farm, same produce, and the trees are like 2 meters above my head. The ground cover is as thick and bushy, and anything else, the bushes that were like up to my ankles are now way up to my waist and so full of produce, like your capsicums and your tomatoes, and just unbelievable. Done a great job, Adam. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'll put it down to inoculating with the Earthfood at first, and that was our worst soil on the farm. And so I thought that was the best place to start. And when we put the banana pups in as well, it was in the middle of winter. And for quite a long time, at least 4 or 5 months, they looked pretty sick. I thought I was going to lose a lot. But we just kept persisting and fed the Earthfood through on a monthly basis. And we assisted the plants with nitrogenous legumes and planting them around the trees as well. So we think, and you're right, we're astounded, even I'm astounded at the growth. Some of the ladyfinger bananas are 2 or 3 meters higher than our 4-year-old orchard.
That's amazing.
So something's going on there. And the only new things that I'm doing is not tilling, using the Earthfood and planting legumes under the hay. And we're putting mulch hay around the trees as well, and just keeping the soil from drying out in the sun. So even on this worst soil on the place, I've seen outstanding growth. I can't believe my eyes. We're only 10 months into the project. And already some of those banana pups are now fruiting. So in theory, a banana takes 1.5 years from the time it emerges as a baby to the point where it's producing bananas. But we have bananas on some of them at the 10-month stage. So this has really blown me away. We've got a lot of papayas in. In 2 rows particularly, we put in about 100 commercial pawpaws, and they are now very, very heavy with fruit at the 7-month stage. Yeah, and I've never seen this before. That's the fastest fruiting papaya or pawpaws I've ever seen, and some of them I reckon are weighing over 2 or 2.5 kilos.
Yeah, they're absolutely. I looked at those, and those pawpaws are bigger than my head.
Oh yes, a lot of them are the size of footballs, and some of them bigger.
Yeah.
So to have this happen at the 7-month stage is just mind blowing. So it's a combination of things, of course, and the combination and tight spacing of the trees is mimicking the forest, and that's the strength of the system and the reason why we did it. But we knew that the soil was dry and dusty when we started. We used to grow spinach salad rocket there and Asian, and it was always very washed out looking.
Yeah. And
it was always leached out, had a leached out look and very dusty, particularly up the top end of the plot. So to get this type of growth, phenomenal growth in this section, is pretty mind-blowing, and it shows you can do great things even on poor soil.
Yeah.
And but I knew just from my studies of soil biology that I had to inoculate the soil, and I had to kickstart massive microbial growth underneath the hay mulch. So the Earthfood seemed to be a pretty good product, and we gave it a go. And I reckon that's what it's done. So it says in the instructions that you feed the plants 3 to 4 times during the life cycle of the trees. Well, the trees live for a long time, so I decided just to do it, a little bit of a dose once a month.
Yeah.
And by doing that, I think we've encouraged a microbial growth and bacterial growth under the soil.
Yeah.
So something's working really well. The combination of things we've done have worked very well. And like you've mentioned before, it feels like we're in a Central American jungle sometimes. It's just densely packed, and
it was extremely lush. And that's one of the things, that's one of the hashtags I use, you know, it's like, it makes more lush. And, you know, we know from third-party testing that it produces 40% more lush, and every above ground green leaf has 40% more protein, just purely from the fact of working with the microbes. We also know that it's, if you do this the way you've done it, and you have, you can actually save 70% water usage as well. That's another stat that we've got. So, and I remember the last time I was up there, it was in very hot time frame in the seasons, and we did do a drone shot. We lifted right up and we could see the farm, which was a green, you know, and growing, and of course it was low because it was fairly young as a project, but outside of that everything was brown. And you'd look at the dam that you've got there, and it just had a little flash. The sunlight would just flicker on like the little dribbles at the bottom of the dam. It looked to me like I didn't know how you're going to grow food in such a dry area. And then, of course, during the documentary, you lifted up some cover crop. You said put your hand in here, and it was dripping wet. And I could not believe it. And every time this is the stuff that Earthfood promises. It's not like, you know, we're pulling porkies here. This is what happens. And I still get a thrill to this day. There's always something amazing. But I have to say that with our trial test garden in North Brisbane that we created mostly for content, and working with other smaller urban gardeners, there's something magical that happens at about the 9-month period. And I actually don't know what it is, but I thought maybe you might. There seems to be like a point where it seems to take off on its own. So is more what I've noticed. So even in a big pot growing food, it'll do well. Everything looks great, and the food grows well. But then there seems to be something that happens at a 8-9 month point where everything just goes massively boom. And I just something I've just noticed over time. Do you have any real understanding of that?
I'm not sure about if it's a general phenomena, but however, over the 9 and 10 months into it, yes, I've noticed an acceleration. So some of the eucalypts in there have gone from nothing, almost lying dormant, to streaking above some of the bananas already. Now some of the lower trees, and some of them are going well above my head. So the papaya, as I say, have come on really quick. The lushness of the look of everything and the bananas that are coming on, even at the 9-month stage, are way too early for the typical banana. So it's just, and you mentioned before that the product helps saves water. Well, we used to irrigate everything daily, which was crazy, just on normal row crops. I'd be lucky to do twice a week now on that plot, and that saved us a lot of time and energy and chores. And a lot of water, by the way.
Yeah.
So, but however, we have had good rain, to be fair, and it's been good timing. We've had the flooding rains around Queensland and northern New South Wales, about our La Nina. So we've timed it well. But however, despite that, these plants are flowering and fruiting way before their normal schedule. So that's what I have observed. And you might have observed the same thing in your experimental plot.
Yeah.
So that's the proof's in the pudding, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we did a video of these. Well, in our test garden, we had it all going. We had on the left-hand side was with Earthfood, and on the right-hand side was without Earthfood, and no other intervention at all. Nothing else manipulated. That's all that was in that soil. Literally overnight, we had locusts come in and eat everything on the side with no Earthfood. That was
really
completely decimated. Just dumps were left on the bean stalks, and it was just all gone. On the other side, which was with Earthfood, we lost about half of the volume of the plants themselves, but the ones that survived, because their immunity was stronger, they're healthier and stronger, we noticed that they yielded, flowered, fruited, produced fast. So we had that experiment. We also noted that the beans that we had another time we had without Earthfood, they just tasted like cardboard. There was no taste to them. And on the ones with Earthfood, they were sweet, they were juicy and beautiful, almost fluorescent green. They were lovely. So yeah, that's something else that that's just from my own personal experience of how effective the Earthfood works on the food crops.
Well, coming into cooler weather now, noticing a lot of new growth still. So the warm period is over, and I've noticed that the citrus have been a bit struggling for a while, but now they're putting out new fresh green leaves, and they look great. So we are at the 9 to 10 month period, so maybe there's something to your theory. But if this is the first 9, 10 months into it, well, I can't wait to see the next 3 or 4 years. So whatever we've done, the Earthfood seems to have had an impact. I'm also noticing very little insect damage.
Yep.
So on the trees themselves, and particularly the papaya, we also normally have a lot of ciguatera spot, which is a mold that can ruin some of the fruits. But 95% of that papaya rows, the heavily laden ones, has no mold whatsoever. So that's a big bonus, because it takes a lot of time to go out and spray sulfur or whatever it is to combat that mold.
Yeah, copper sulfate, which actually ends up killing the microbes anyway.
Well, it can, but you only sort of dose the underside of the leaves and the fruit a little bit. You shouldn't be spraying on the soil at all. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, they do in wineries. Yeah, anyway.
Do they?
Yeah. In France, particularly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they've used sulfur for a long time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the production's been pretty amazing, and the resilience and strength of the capsicums and eggplants have been. The capsicums are particularly waist high. I've never seen them grow that high before.
That's what I said. Yeah. I said when I was there, I said, these capsicums are to my waist. And the fruit that was coming off it was as big as my hand. And
I can't say they're the biggest fruit ever, but they're prolific. And the plants are now in excellent condition. Like, there is zero insect damage at all, which shows a strong immunity. The stems, initially they were sort of laying over under the weight of the fruits, but now the stems are thickening up and they're becoming almost shrub-like.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
they are really, I was looking at them today thinking, geez, they're looking really good.
Mm.
And I'm still producing good eggplants. I still, take at least 20, 30 kilos off a week, even at this stage, because normally the eggplants get a bit sick when it gets cooler. It's not their time of the year.
Mm.
But the capsicums are a summer plant as well, but they're thriving. They're doing really well. Even now it's cooling off a little bit.
Yeah.
But the leaves look fresh, green, and glossy, and zero damage. So that's a big plus.
Yeah.
My big test now is in June, July. If we do get a frost, which we haven't been getting many for a few years, but if we did get a frost, how resilient will the plants be? Will they bounce back or they survive? We'll soon see.
Yeah. Well, I'll be back up there again soon, and take some more footage. I'll probably do that in about, I don't know, somewhere like in around about November, December, something like that. November probably.
Oh yeah,
Just
that'd be good. Yeah.
Get a contrast, because now we're sort of like coming into our autumn here in Australia, and I just I just love it. I just think you're at a great property up there. You've got some great growth. It's beautiful up there.
The proof's in the pudding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've got to remember that I have not used Earthfood on the four-year-old orchard at all.
Mm.
But the new section, the quarter-acre experimental plot, I have.
Mm.
So there's a perfect contrast right there.
Well, I was looking at dragon fruit that were growing there, and I just thought, wow, they looked magnificent. And I just thought, geez, I bet you they're a really nice flavour as well.
Well, they are, but just bear in mind that none of that section and next to the dragon fruit has been treated with Earthfood. So the proof's in the pudding. So look at the initial rows in the new plot.
Yep.
And those bananas are at least 2 meters higher, at least, maybe 3 in some cases. They're towering. And the bananas are very strong and standing up straight and producing pups already.
Yep.
And in many cases, bananas are on, which is way too early, according to my previous experience with ladyfingers. So we're having a win. And when you bring your drone up and you fancy camera, you want to contrast that with the older pre-existing orchard just to see the difference. So we have an untreated plot and a treated plot, and the treated plot's doing much better.
No,
yeah, so I reckon there's something in it, Brian. You got a pretty good product there.
Yep. We're definitely very proud of it, and like to see more farmers move away from post-war chemicals into bio fertiliser. The microbes, they're just Mother Nature's toolkit, and if we just get out of her way, she can actually do some amazing things. So I think we've seen enough of it time and time again, but it was just really lovely to visit your farm the other day and just take some footage, and it's beautiful. Well done, you. So
thanks, Brian.
On that note, I'm going to love and leave you, and I'll probably see you around about November, if not before. But thanks for your time today. Enjoying it. Yep. Thanks so much.
No problem.